May 31, 1916, marked a pivotal moment in naval history, unfolding in the North Sea, just off the Danish coastline. Rear Admiral Hugh Evan Thomas, a figure of stoic resolve, surveyed the unfolding panorama from the bridge of his flagship, HMS Barham. Through the pervasive, ethereal mist, the formidable German high seas fleet began to materialize, emerging like spectral apparitions of battleship gray. Under his command were 4 majestic Queen Elizabeth-class battleships, considered the epitome of British naval engineering at the time. These colossal vessels boasted 70-foot gun barrels, formidable instruments of war capable of propelling 1-ton shells across an astonishing range of 15 miles. Yet, despite their imposing presence and advanced capabilities, a critical, indeed catastrophic, flaw was about to manifest, threatening to exact a devastating toll in British lives. Just 6 miles ahead, Vice Admiral David Beatty's squadron of battlecruisers was engaged in a furious charge towards the German line, slicing through the waves at an impressive 25 knots as they actively engaged the enemy. Beatty, keenly aware of the escalating peril, desperately signaled Evan Thomas to accelerate and follow at the maximum possible speed. However, Evan Thomas's battleships, while magnificent in their design and construction, were constrained by their inherent limitations. They could only achieve a top speed of 24 knots, and even this required pushing their reciprocating engines to their absolute, grinding limits. The stark reality of the situation was a brutal mathematical equation. With every passing minute that Evan Thomas's squadron lagged behind, the critical gap between them and the vanguard widened by an additional 100 yards. This ever-increasing distance left Beatty's lighter, more vulnerable ships to confront the might of the German dreadnoughts in isolation, a perilous imbalance that was rapidly leading to their destruction. At precisely 4 p.m., the tragic fate of HMS Indefatigable was sealed when a German shell found its mark, detonating her magazine in a cataclysmic explosion that claimed the lives of 1,000 men in mere seconds. The horror continued at 4:26 p.m. as HMS Queen Mary disintegrated into a colossal fireball, adding another 1,266 souls to the grim tally of the fallen. Beatty, witnessing the inferno consuming his fleet, uttered words that would forever resonate through the annals of naval history. "There seems to be something wrong with our bloody ships today." After 2 or 3 paragraphs, ask us to stay with us and watch the end of the video. We will be grateful for your like and subscription. Write a comment about where you are from and what you think about the video topic. However, the true genesis of the problem was not the ships themselves in their entirety, but rather their antiquated propulsion systems. More accurately, it was the fateful decision made by Britain a decade earlier, a choice that had been widely condemned as suicidal by virtually every admiral, dismissed as a fleet-destroying folly by naval engineers, and declared an impossibility by conventional wisdom. In 1906, a singular individual dared to stake Britain's cherished naval supremacy on a radically innovative propulsion system, one that senior officers ominously warned would tear ships apart at sea. This visionary was Charles Algernon Parsons, an unassuming civilian engineer whose professional life had, until then, been primarily dedicated to the construction of electrical generators. Unbeknownst to Evan Thomas, as he stood on the Barham's Bridge, watching his grand battleships laboriously struggled to close the distance with the enemy. His vessels were already technologically obsolete. They were propelled by the very same reciprocating steam engines that had served warships for half a century. Massive pistons relentlessly hammering up and down, converting steam pressure into mechanical motion through sheer brute force. Meanwhile, a mere 6 miles ahead, HMS Lion, Beatty's flagship, surged forward, powered by an invention that was nothing short of revolutionary, a technology that every expert had confidently asserted would never function, yet was now enabling British battlecruisers to maintain speeds that reciprocating engines could never hope to sustain. The Battle of Jutland ultimately concluded in a tactical draw, yet its bloody and fiery crucible unequivocally demonstrated that Charles Parsons's suicidal invention had irrevocably altered the landscape of naval warfare. The era dominated by the reciprocating engine had drawn to a close, and the age of the turbine had dawned, a transformation initiated by one man's steadfast refusal to accept what everyone else believed to be an insurmountable impossibility. The genesis of this profound problem can be traced back to 1890, a period when Britain found itself grappling with a strategic nightmare of significant proportions. The Royal Navy, then the undisputed mistress of the seas, commanded a formidable fleet of 38 battleships, a numerical superiority unmatched by any other nation. Nevertheless, a troubling trend had emerged. Battleships were paradoxically becoming slower rather than faster. The primary culprit behind this diminishing speed was the reciprocating steam engine, a technology fundamentally unchanged from the basic design that had propelled Britain's inaugural steam warships 6 decades prior. In this system, steam generated in boilers drove pistons up and down, which in turn rotated a crankshaft, ultimately spinning the propellers. While functional, this design was fraught with severe limitations. The swiftest pre-dreadnought battleships struggled to surpass 18 knots. Admiral Sir John Jacky Fisher, a relentless and aggressive reformer within the British Navy, astutely calculated that in any large-scale fleet engagement, the slower force would inevitably face systematic annihilation. He unequivocally declared that speed was synonymous with survival and, crucially, with victory. However, the reciprocating engines had reached their inherent physical limits. Engineers explored every conceivable avenue for improvement. They designed larger engines, only to find that the increased weight detrimentally slowed the ships. They escalated boiler pressure, which regrettably led to a greater incidence of mechanical failures. And they added more cylinders, a measure that merely amplified complexity and reduced reliability. By the turn of the century, around 1900, a consensus had firmly taken hold. 18 knots was the absolute maximum speed a battleship could ever attain, with the prevailing belief that the immutable laws of physics simply would not permit anything faster. Then the ominous shadow of an arms race began to loom large. In 1898, Germany embarked on an ambitious program to construct a modern battle fleet, specifically engineered to directly challenge and ultimately supersede British naval supremacy. Kaiser Wilhelm II famously proclaimed, "Our future lies on the water," articulating a clear challenge. Germany's newly developed battleships were meticulously designed to match British speeds knot for knot. In this new paradigm, Britain's numerical advantage would be rendered meaningless if German ships possessed equivalent speed capabilities. Admiral Fisher, a figure of immense influence, assumed the prestigious position of First Sea Lord in 1904. At 63 years old, he was a man characterized by his fiery temperament, brilliant intellect, and a profound dread that Britain was on the precipice of losing its long-held naval dominance. In response to this looming threat, he convened a clandestine committee, aptly named the Committee on Designs, with the singular objective of developing a revolutionary new battleship. The specifications laid out were unprecedented. A formidable armament of 10 12-inch guns, effectively doubling the main firepower of existing battleships, coupled with heavy armor. And, most critically, a top speed of at least 21 knots, a remarkable 3 knots faster than any battleship currently in service worldwide. The established engine manufacturers unequivocally informed Fisher that achieving such a speed with reciprocating engines was an insurmountable impossibility. They estimated that it would necessitate doubling the engine size, a modification that would add an additional 2,000 tons of weight. The resulting vessel, they warned, would be excessively large, prohibitively expensive, and, more alarmingly, would likely shake itself apart due to the immense pistons hammering at such high speeds. Fisher's engineers presented him with stark and grim calculations. A reciprocating engine operating at its maximum speed would generate catastrophic vibrations. One had to envision a 500-ton piston assembly violently hammering up and down 75 times per minute. At 18 knots, these vibrations were generally manageable. However, pushing the speed to 21 knots would cause oscillations powerful enough to potentially crack the ship's keel, shatter crucial bearing surfaces, and trigger mechanical failures that would inevitably leave the vessel dead in the water. The Admiralty's chief engineer, Sir Henry Oram, articulated the situation with blunt clarity. "We've reached the limits of what reciprocating machinery can do. If you want 21 knots, you need fundamentally different technology." But what alternative technology could possibly exist? Every warship across the globe relied on reciprocating engines. They were time-tested, proven to be reliable, and naval officers possessed a deep understanding of their operation. Furthermore, shore facilities were fully equipped to repair them. The prospect of transitioning to experimental technology would be an audacious gamble, effectively staking Britain's naval supremacy, the very bedrock of its vast empire, on unproven machinery. The strategic implications could not have been higher. Britain, a nation heavily reliant on imports, sourced 60% of its food from overseas. The Royal Navy served as the indispensable guardian of these vital supply lines. A loss of naval supremacy would inexorably lead to starvation for the nation. Admiral Fisher was acutely aware that the German battle fleet was expanding at an alarming rate of 12 new capital ships per year. Britain desperately required a technological breakthrough, and it needed it immediately. The need for a revolutionary propulsion system was immediate and pressing. In November 1904, a committee led by Admiral Sir John Fisher meticulously examined 43 distinct proposals for marine propulsion. The vast majority of these submissions represented mere refinements of existing reciprocating engine technologies. Alarmingly, none of these conventional designs could satisfy the stringent requirement for a top speed of 21 knots without incurring prohibitive weight penalties that would compromise other critical aspects of warship design. It was at this juncture that someone introduced the name of Charles Parsons. Parsons was an unconventional figure. He was not a naval engineer by profession and had no prior experience in designing warships. His expertise lay in the realm of electrical generators and industrial machinery. Yet he had been diligently experimenting with a groundbreaking concept known as the steam turbine. This represented a fundamentally different approach to converting the thermal energy of steam into rotational motion. Instead of the forceful, repetitive action of pistons, his ingenious design harnessed the smooth, continuous flow of steam directed through precisely angled blades, causing a shaft to spin effortlessly at thousands of revolutions per minute. Initially, the seasoned officers of the Royal Navy were quick to dismiss this radical idea, voicing immediate objections. Turbines are an unproven technology. They are inherently complicated. They present unacceptable risks. However, Fisher, confronted with the urgency of the situation, was in a state of desperation. Charles Parsons was poised to demonstrate that occasionally an outsider's fresh perspective can uncover solutions that elude the most seasoned experts. Charles Algernon Parsons, a man of 50 years in 1904, carried a lineage tied to an Irish earl. Yet his life's true devotion had been spent amidst the grit and grime of engineering workshops, far removed from the refined elegance of aristocratic drawing rooms. Educated in mathematics at the esteemed University of Cambridge, his career trajectory involved working for various prominent industrial firms, where his intellect was applied to the design of dynamos and other electrical equipment. His hands bore the clear marks of a life dedicated to practical application. They were calloused, a testament to countless hours spent manipulating machinery and tools. His mind operated with an inherent understanding of mechanical motions and the intricate principles of thermodynamic efficiencies. Notably, he possessed absolutely no prior experience in naval engineering, a fact that made his eventual contribution all the more extraordinary. Please stay with us and watch the end of the video. We will be grateful for your like and subscription. Where are you from, and what do you think about the video topic? 2 decades before Fisher's committee would seek his expertise, in 1884, Parsons had already constructed his inaugural steam turbine. The underlying principle was one of remarkable elegance and simplicity. Rather than employing steam pressure to drive pistons in a back-and-forth motion, his innovation channeled the steam through meticulously crafted blades affixed to a rotating shaft. The kinetic energy of the steam imparted tremendous speed to these blades, propelling the shaft to an astonishing 18,000 revolutions per minute. This eliminated the jarring, reciprocating motion and the associated hammering vibrations, replacing them with a seamless, continuous rotation. The established engineering community, however, met his early endeavors with derision. The prestigious Institution of Mechanical Engineers famously rejected his initial papers, with one particularly dismissive reviewer remarking, "Mr. Parsons' turbine is an interesting toy, but it will never replace the reliability and power of reciprocating engines for serious applications." Undeterred by such skepticism, Parsons resolutely pressed forward. He established his own enterprise, C.A. Parsons and Company, and strategically directed its focus toward the burgeoning field of electrical generation. His turbines proved perfectly suited for the task of spinning generators at the consistent, high speeds required for efficient electricity production. By the turn of the century, in 1900, he had successfully installed his innovative turbines in power stations throughout Great Britain, a testament to their efficacy and reliability. And his company flourished, achieving significant profitability. Yet, Parsons harbored an even grander vision, an unwavering conviction that his turbine technology possessed the potential to fundamentally transform marine propulsion. The primary obstacle, however, was in persuading anyone within the conservative maritime industry to embrace such a radical departure from conventional wisdom. To concretely demonstrate his concept, in 1894, he commissioned the construction of a pioneering vessel, a 100-foot yacht christened Turbinia. Designed as a tangible proof of concept, from an external perspective, the yacht appeared rather unassuming, betraying no hint of the revolutionary technology contained within. However, beneath her decks resided a groundbreaking power plant, a Parsons steam turbine capable of generating an impressive 2,000 horsepower, driving 3 propeller shafts at speeds that conventional reciprocating engines could simply not hope to match. On the momentous date of June 26, 1897, Parsons executed a truly audacious maneuver. The Grand Queen Victoria's Diamond Jubilee Naval Review was underway at Spithead, a magnificent spectacle featuring 165 warships, proudly showcasing the formidable might of the British Empire. This was an exclusive, invitation-only event. Parsons, conspicuously lacking an official invitation, decided to gate-crash the illustrious gathering. Turbinia suddenly materialized amidst the array of anchored warships, her turbine emitting a high-pitched scream, with spray dramatically arcing from her bow. She rapidly accelerated to an astounding 34 knots, a speed unparalleled by any other vessel in the world at that time. The Royal Navy, caught off guard, dispatched patrol boats to intercept the intruder, but these vessels could only reach a maximum speed of 27 knots. Turbinia effortlessly outran them, deftly weaving between the colossal battleships, thereby making the Navy appear rather inept in the presence of the Queen herself. Naval officers were, understandably, incensed by this blatant disregard for protocol. The Admiralty even contemplated prosecuting Parsons for unauthorized intrusion. Nevertheless, a contingent of younger, more forward-thinking officers found themselves captivated by the display. The destroyer HMS Viper was subsequently outfitted with experimental turbines in 1899 and achieved an incredible 36 knots, speeds that had previously been considered utterly unattainable. Tragically, however, Viper ran aground and was lost in 1901. The destroyer HMS Cobra also received turbines, but she tragically broke apart in heavy seas in 1901, resulting in the loss of 67 lives. These unfortunate failures served to reinforce conventional wisdom within the Navy. Turbines were perceived as excessively risky, overly experimental, and far too perilous for deployment in crucial capital ships. Yet, in November 1904, when Admiral Fisher's committee found itself in a desperate search for a viable solution to the pressing issue of naval speed, the memory of Turbinia resurfaced. They recalled that experimental yacht, seemingly dancing through the review fleet at speeds that defied belief. Fisher, recognizing the potential, summoned Parsons to the Admiralty. Parsons arrived, equipped with a wealth of detailed drawings, meticulous calculations, and comprehensive test data, amassed over a decade of turbine operations in both power stations and various merchant vessels. He presented Fisher with a compelling proposal to install his innovative turbines in the new battleship. He argued that they would be significantly lighter than traditional reciprocating engines, produce substantially less vibration, require a smaller crew complement, and, most crucially, they would reliably deliver the coveted 21 knots. Fisher's senior officers reacted with utter horror. Admiral Reginald Custance vehemently declared, "It's suicide. We'll be entrusting the most powerful warship ever constructed to the mercy of unproven machinery. Should the turbines fail in battle, the ship will be rendered completely helpless." However, Parsons had one irrefutable argument that effectively silenced all objections. He offered to personally guarantee the performance of the turbines. He pledged that if they failed to meet the specified requirements, he would replace them entirely at his own considerable expense. This was a colossal wager, potentially worth hundreds of thousands of pounds, representing the entirety of his personal fortune. Fisher gazed at the civilian engineer, a man willing to risk financial ruin on the strength of his own invention. Then his thoughts turned to the burgeoning German naval threat across the North Sea. "Build it," Fisher commanded decisively. Parsons promptly returned to his factory situated in Newcastle upon Tyne. He faced an almost impossible deadline, a mere 16 months, to meticulously design, construct, and rigorously test the formidable turbines destined for the new battleship, HMS Dreadnought. The timeline was undeniably insane. The stakes were nothing less than Britain's naval supremacy on the global stage, creating an almost unbearable pressure. The engineering challenges confronting him were immense. A typical power station turbine operates at a constant speed, humming peacefully for extended periods. In stark contrast, a battleship turbine would need to accelerate from a complete standstill to full power in a matter of minutes, handle rapid and frequent changes in speed, reverse direction efficiently, and, critically, possess the resilience to withstand potential battle damage. Parsons had never before undertaken a project remotely approaching this colossal scale. He meticulously calculated the immense power requirements. A staggering 23,000 shaft horsepower would be necessary to propel an 18,000-ton battleship through the water at 21 knots. This necessitated the construction of 4 massive turbines, arranged as high-pressure and low-pressure pairs for both the port and starboard propeller shafts. Each individual turbine had to rotate at a precise 380 revolutions per minute, while simultaneously managing superheated steam pressurized to 265 pounds per square inch. The design of the turbine blades was absolutely critical to success. Parsons embarked on an exhaustive series of experiments, testing hundreds of different configurations, evaluating varying angles, exploring diverse materials, and optimizing the spacing between blades. If the angle was too steep, the steam would not flow efficiently through the system. Conversely, if the angle was too shallow, the blades would fail to extract sufficient energy from the steam. The manufacturing tolerances were incredibly fine, measured in mere thousandths of an inch, demanding unparalleled precision. In April of 1905, Charles Parsons initiated the inaugural operation of his groundbreaking turbine within the confines of his own workshop. The colossal rotor assembly, a massive steel drum meticulously covered with exquisitely fashioned and accurately machined blades, commanded a formidable weight of 50 tons. He commenced the process by gradually accelerating its rotation, diligently scrutinizing for any signs of unwanted vibrations. At a modest 100 revolutions per minute, RPM, the entire apparatus appeared steady and unperturbed. However, as the speed escalated to 200 RPM, the very structure of the building began to reverberate noticeably. By the time it reached 300 RPM, his engineering team looked visibly alarmed. Undeterred, Parsons pushed the machine to its full operational velocity of 380 RPM. The resulting noise was a thunderous roar, almost deafening to human ears. The turbine's housing glowed a fiery red, testament to the intense steam heat contained within, yet the vibration remained negligible, remarkably less pronounced than that of any conventional reciprocating engine. Parsons diligently scrutinized bearing temperatures, steam flow rates, and the overall power output, confirming that every parameter conformed perfectly to the established specifications. He then proceeded to run the turbine for 6 continuous hours, extending this endurance test to 12, and ultimately to a full 24 hours. Through this rigorous trial, he was demonstrating an unprecedented level of endurance and dependability that no existing reciprocating engine could possibly rival. An unforeseen challenge, however, soon presented itself: the critical requirement for propulsion reversal. Battleships, by their very nature, necessitated the ability to reverse at considerable velocity for essential operations such as docking maneuvers, intricate strategic naval movements, and urgent emergency stops. Reciprocating engines achieved this with straightforward ease merely by altering the direction of piston motion. Turbines, conversely, were designed to spin in a singular direction. The quandary then became, how does one reverse their powerful rotation? Parsons's solution was both revolutionary and audacious: to install distinct and dedicated turbines specifically for reverse operation. This intricate design meant that each vessel would be equipped with a grand total of 8 turbines, 4 designated for forward motion and an additional 4 for astern propulsion. It was an intricately convoluted and financially demanding engineering intricacy, precisely the kind of complication that tended to make naval officers apprehensive and wary. We sincerely invite you to stay with us and watch the conclusion of this compelling narrative. Your like and subscription would be greatly appreciated. Please share in the comments where you are from and your thoughts on the crucial topic of innovation versus tradition in naval technology. In August of 1905, Admiral Sir William May paid a critical visit to Parsons' factory to scrutinize the newly developed turbines. He observed the gargantuan rotors spinning with powerful grace, listened intently to their uninterrupted, resonant drone, and felt the scarcely perceptible tremor of their operation. It was then that he posed the question everyone had been hesitant to articulate. What would be the consequence if a blade were to break at full operational speed? Parsons, with characteristic candor, elucidated that a fractured blade would inevitably induce a severe disequilibrium within the system. The turbine would then oscillate with destructive ferocity, and in the most dire scenario, it could catastrophically disintegrate, propelling deadly fragments through the hull, with the potential to founder the entire ship. "That is precisely what I surmised," May responded gravely. "You are asking us to place implicit faith that these blades that will be concealed from view once installed, that cannot be examined while active, and that are spinning at hundreds of revolutions per minute will never succumb to structural compromise. Ever." "Yes," Parsons replied simply, his voice unwavering. "That is exactly what I'm asking of you." May fixed him with an intense gaze. "That is utterly preposterous." "No, Admiral," Parsons countered, with measured calm. "What is truly preposterous is sacrificing our position in the naval arms race because we are afraid to embrace technological advancement." The turbine assemblies were transported to Portsmouth Dockyard in October 1905, where HMS Dreadnought stood poised in expectation. By December 2, 1905, at Portsmouth Royal Dockyard, HMS Dreadnought rested within the confines of the dry dock, nearing 90% of its construction phase. She was colossal in scale, measuring 526 feet in length, and armed profusely with 10 formidable 12-inch guns and 5 groundbreaking gun emplacements. Her appearance was utterly unlike anything the naval world had ever witnessed, and she was on the verge of receiving the most vehemently debated propulsion system ever installed in a warship. The installation of the turbines was set for December 5th. However, on December 3rd, a contingent of high-ranking naval commanders arrived at Portsmouth, presided over by Admiral Lord Charles Beresford. Beresford was an acrimonious adversary of Fisher, a staunch advocate of established practices, who firmly believed the turbine experiment constituted irresponsible wagering with British lives. Beresford immediately insisted upon an urgent convocation with the dockyard superintendent, and Parsons was promptly called forth. The tense meeting convened within the Admiral's office, offering a commanding vista of the port. "Mr. Parsons," Beresford began, his voice laced with disdainful superiority, "I have meticulously examined your turbine specifications. I have also consulted with veteran naval mechanical experts. The unanimous opinion firmly establishes that your machinery is patently inappropriate for a capital ship." Parsons, maintaining a composed and unwavering tone, inquired, "May I ask what precise engineering impediments have been raised?" "From which point should I commence?" Beresford retorted, producing a detailed list. "Firstly, turbines are incapable of quick reversal. In a fleet engagement, mere seconds are critical. Your intricate mechanism for directional change will inevitably compromise our strategic maneuverability." "The reversing turbines actually respond with greater alacrity than reciprocating engines," Parsons countered. "We have empirically quantified their operational reactivity." "Secondly," Beresford interjected abruptly, "turbines are suboptimal in their performance during reduced velocity operations. A battleship operates primarily at moderate paces rather than maximum velocities for the majority of its existence. Your design will therefore exhibit an exorbitant appetite for combustible resources. We have mitigated this concern with the inclusion of the low-pressure turbine stage," Parsons calmly explained. "Third, and in my view the most devastating indictment," Beresford's voice rose in pitch and intensity, "your turbines present a solitary vulnerability. Should one turbine fail, the ship suffers an entire loss of thrust from the affected propeller. With reciprocating engines, we possess the capability to effectuate onboard reparations at sea. Your turbines, however, they are hermetically enclosed assemblies. If they fail, the ship will be forced to return to port in a state of utter incapacitation." The room descended into a profound quietude. It was a crushing point of contention. Parsons recognized its gravity, as did every other individual present. Admiral Sir Philip Watts, the esteemed director of naval construction, uttered a preparatory cough. "Mr. Parsons, Lord Beresford articulates legitimate apprehensions. Perhaps we should evaluate our position anew. We could alter the fundamental blueprint of the dreadnought for reciprocating engines. It would postpone its official entry into service by 6 months. But no." Fisher's voice pierced the tense atmosphere with incisive authority. He had been sitting unobtrusively in a secluded part of the chamber, and now he rose to his feet. Every officer in the room snapped to a rigid posture of deference. "Admiral Fisher," Beresford objected vehemently, "I am compelled to urge. You can insist all you like, Charles." Fisher's eyes were unyielding and resolute. "But I am First Sea Lord, and this is my definitive decision. The turbines are being installed. This is utter folly. Beresford's face crimsoned with indignation. You are staking the destiny of the Royal Navy on untested innovations from a non-military engineer lacking experience in naval vessel architecture. The room exploded into vociferous dispute. Officers engaged in heated disputation with elevated tones as decades of professional animosity manifested as overt confrontation. Beresford's contingent, comprised of older traditionalist officers, vociferously decried the imprudence of the decision. Fisher's supporters retorted with conviction, citing German threats and urgent tactical necessity. Fisher permitted the impassioned debate to unfold for a moment. Then he elevated his palm. A profound hush descended. "Gentlemen," Fisher said quietly, with a subdued yet authoritative tone, "let me elucidate what is genuinely preposterous. What is preposterous is observing Germany construct a formidable battle fleet, while we adhere stubbornly to antiquated engineering. What is preposterous is inaugurating modern capital ships that are already inferior in velocity to the adversary's newest constructions. What is preposterous is allowing apprehension towards novel advancements to dismantle the maritime supremacy established by Nelson." He then addressed Parsons directly. "Mr. Parsons, you have provided solemn assurance that these turbines will conform to all stipulated requirements. If they fail, you will bear the entire financial burden of their substitution. Is that correct?" "Yes, Admiral. And if they prove inadequate amidst naval engagement, if British sailors perish because your turbines suffer operational breakdown," Parsons held Fisher's gaze steadfastly, "then I shall endure a lifetime burdened by the knowledge of my shortcomings. But they shall not falter, Admiral. I have subjected these power units to a decade of exhaustive trials. I possess an absolute certainty of their efficacy." Admiral Fisher, after a moment of contemplation, addressed Beresford directly, acknowledging his concerns but firmly stating that the choice had been made. The formidable new warship, Dreadnought, was unequivocally destined to be outfitted with turbine engines. Fisher declared his personal accountability should this revolutionary technology falter, yet expressed unwavering confidence that its success would bestow upon Britain a crucial 3-knot speed superiority over all existing battleships, an advantage he believed would ultimately preserve countless British lives. Beresford, clearly agitated by the pronouncement, abruptly departed, followed by a contingent of sympathetic officers, though the greater number stayed put. Fisher then issued his definitive command: "Install the turbines." True to his word, on December 5, 1905, 4 immense turbines, engineered by Parsons, were meticulously lowered by crane into Dreadnought's cavernous engine compartments, marking a pivotal moment in naval history. The following morning, a dedicated workforce commenced the intricate process of linking the steam lines from the 18 Babcock and Wilcox boilers, an essential step in bringing the colossal vessel to life. At this juncture, the future of HMS Dreadnought, and by extension, the very bedrock of Britain's maritime dominance, was precariously balanced upon the ingenuity and audacious promises of a single civilian engineer, Charles Parsons, who had dared to pledge an outcome previously considered unattainable in naval engineering circles. On a crisp February 3, 1906, approximately 15 miles offshore from Portsmouth, in the tumultuous North Sea, HMS Dreadnought gracefully cast off her lines, embarking on her inaugural series of sea trials. On the ship's command bridge, Admiral Sir Reginald Bacon, the vessel's appointed captain, maintained a watchful vigil. Deep within the ship's labyrinthine interior, a team of highly skilled engineers meticulously prepared to ignite the boilers, initiating their operation for the very first time while the ship was in motion. Charles Parsons himself was also present, a direct stipulation from Admiral Fisher, ensuring that if the innovative turbines were to catastrophically malfunction, their inventor would be a first-hand witness to their unfortunate demise. Stay with us and watch the end of the video. We will be grateful for your like and subscription. Please write a comment about where you are from and what you think about the video topic. With painstaking precision, the multitude of boilers were brought online sequentially, each contributing to a steady accumulation of steam pressure, which incrementally rose from 100 psi through 150, then 200, finally reaching a robust 265 psi. This superheated steam was then channeled through the intricate network of pipes directly into the waiting turbines. Within the confines of the engine rooms, the naval crew members observed with palpable apprehension as the colossal rotors slowly but surely commenced their rotation. Admiral Bacon issued his initial command for 5 knots, and to the relief of all, Dreadnought glided forward with remarkable composure. There was an absence of the jarring vibrations typically associated with such powerful machinery. No discordant or unexpected noises, merely the subtle, reassuring hum of the turbines, performing their task at a gentle, introductory speed. The command for 10 knots was given, and the vessel maintained its serene and unperturbed progress. As the order for 15 knots followed, the battleship sliced effortlessly through the moderate undulations of the sea. On the bridge, officers exchanged knowing glances, a silent acknowledgment of the stark contrast to conventional battleships, which would typically be experiencing considerable shuddering and the incessant, percussive thrumming of their reciprocating engines at such velocities. Then came the decisive order from Bacon. "All ahead full." The engine room telegraph resonated with the command, prompting the engineers to promptly open the throttles to their maximum extent. Superheated steam, now at its peak pressure, roared through the intricate blades of the turbines, propelling the rotors to an impressive 380 revolutions per minute. A staggering 23,000 horsepower was unleashed, channeled through 4 robust shafts to 4 powerful propellers, causing Dreadnought to surge dramatically forward, a testament to its newfound power. Admiral Bacon meticulously observed the speed indicator's ascent. 16 knots, then 17, swiftly reaching 18 knots, a speed generally considered the upper limit for battleships equipped with older, conventional propulsion systems. Yet, the needle continued its upward trajectory, soaring past 19 knots and then 20. Even at 20, 5 knots, any discernible vibration remained astonishingly negligible, prompting smiles of disbelief and satisfaction among the bridge officers. Upon reaching 21 knots, Dreadnought demonstrated an unparalleled smoothness of operation, surpassing that of any battleship they had previously experienced. Bacon, emboldened by the performance, pushed the vessel to an impressive 21.6 knots, a velocity the ship sustained for an uninterrupted period of 6 hours. Meanwhile, in the bustling engine room, Charles Parsons remained intently focused, diligently monitoring bearing temperatures discerning the subtle pitch of the turbines and scrupulously checking for even the slightest indication of malfunction. To his profound satisfaction, there was none. The turbines were functioning with absolute perfection, exhibiting operational temperatures and noise levels even lower than his most optimistic projections. The comprehensive series of sea trials extended over a period of 3 days, during which Dreadnought was rigorously put through its paces, executing demanding high-speed maneuvers, demonstrating swift emergency stops, and exhibiting impressive rapid acceleration capabilities. Even the innovative reversing turbines, crucial for precise ship handling, functioned without a single fault. On February 6th, Admiral Bacon dispatched an eagerly awaited communiqué to Admiral Fisher, declaring unequivocally, "Turbines exceed all expectations. Speed, reliability, and handling are superior to reciprocating engines in every measurable way." This concise yet powerful message underscored the resounding success of the new propulsion system. Upon the official publication of these groundbreaking trial results by the Admiralty, the global naval community was left in a state of profound astonishment. Britain had undeniably constructed a battleship possessing a 3-knot speed advantage over any other warship currently in service. Crucially, Dreadnought demonstrated an unprecedented ability to maintain these elevated speeds for prolonged durations, entirely free from the debilitating mechanical stresses that habitually afflicted vessels propelled by reciprocating engines. The German Naval Command, in particular, swiftly grasped the ominous implications of this development. Admiral Alfred von Tirpitz, the visionary force behind Germany's ambitious naval expansion, meticulously reviewed the reports and instantly comprehended the dire reality. Germany's entire existing battle fleet was, in essence, rendered obsolete overnight. Every single vessel constructed by Germany within the preceding decade was now demonstrably slower than the revolutionary Dreadnought. Compounding this strategic disadvantage, Britain now possessed the capability to construct an entire armada of turbine-driven battleships long before Germany could even hope to master the requisite technology. This technological leap immediately propelled the global naval arms race into an unprecedented state of frenetic activity. Britain, capitalizing on its pioneering success, promptly commissioned the construction of 3 additional turbine-powered battleships in 1906. Germany, recognizing the existential threat, was compelled to entirely overhaul and redesign its naval construction program in a desperate bid to catch up. Across the world, from France and Russia to Japan and Italy, every significant naval power engaged in a frantic scramble to develop and integrate turbine technology into their own fleets. This sudden and profound technological disparity had created an undeniable strategic vulnerability for all nations lagging behind. In a confidential report penned in 1907, German naval officer Commander Wolfgang Wegener articulated this stark reality with chilling clarity. The British turbine advantage is devastating. In any fleet engagement, they can choose the range and timing. They can pursue. They can retreat. They can concentrate force where we are weak. Unless we match their turbine technology, we cannot win a major surface action. His words underscored the profound shift in naval strategy and power dynamics. The definitive confirmation of the turbine's supremacy materialized a decade later at the Battle of Jutland on May 30th, 1916. There, Vice Admiral David Beatty led the British battlecruiser fleet, a formidable contingent of 6 turbine-powered warships each capable of an astonishing 25 knots. At precisely 3:30 p.m., upon the sighting of German battlecruisers, Beatty's squadron immediately launched a full-speed pursuit. This relentless, high-speed chase spanned an impressive distance of 60 miles, a feat that would undoubtedly have resulted in catastrophic breakdowns for any vessel reliant on reciprocating engines. Yet, Beatty's advanced turbines performed flawlessly throughout. Admiral Reinhard Scheer, the commander of the German High Seas Fleet, subsequently acknowledged in his official report, "The British advantage in sustained high-speed operation was decisive, as our battlecruisers could not escape, and our battleships could not close the range. The English turbine technology gave them tactical flexibility we could not counter." This stark admission highlighted the tactical dominance afforded by the new propulsion system. The unequivocal evidence of this shift in naval power is starkly illustrated by the kill ratios. Across 11 significant surface engagements occurring between 1906 and 1918, where British ships equipped with turbine propulsion confronted adversaries utilizing reciprocating engines, the British forces successfully achieved their tactical objectives in a remarkable 73% of encounters. This undeniable correlation demonstrated that superior speed translated directly into tangible battlefield success. However, the most profound and far-reaching consequence was strategic. Between 1907 and 1918, Germany managed to construct 22 battleships of the dreadnought type, while Britain, leveraging its technological lead, built a formidable 33. The groundbreaking turbine technology thus enabled Britain to not only maintain but also enhance its numerical superiority, while Germany, despite its best efforts, consistently struggled to emulate British speed capabilities. By 1918, the German High Seas Fleet, acutely aware of its disadvantage, spent the vast majority of the war confined to port, effectively unwilling to hazard a decisive engagement against the demonstrably faster and more agile British forces. In his 1919 memoirs, Admiral John Jellicoe, who commanded the British Grand Fleet during the pivotal Battle of Jutland, provided a definitive summation of the turbine's impact. He asserted that the turbine-powered dreadnoughts gave Britain tactical advantages that reciprocating engines could never achieve. Jellicoe elaborated on these critical benefits. In tumultuous heavy seas, where conventional battleships were invariably forced to drastically reduce their speed to avert mechanical damage, the turbine-driven British vessels could steadfastly maintain full speed without compromise. Similarly, during arduous long-distance operations, when ships reliant on reciprocating engines necessitated periodic rest intervals for essential maintenance, the British turbines operated continuously and without interruption. Ultimately, the extraordinary reliability and superior performance that Charles Parsons had so boldly guaranteed in 1905 were unequivocally validated in every conceivable operational test, cementing his legacy and revolutionizing naval warfare. The profound implications of the turbine advantage extended far beyond mere mechanical superiority, revealing a significant human dimension that, while challenging to quantify, was undeniably real. Astute naval historians have meticulously estimated that the enhanced tactical flexibility afforded to the British, primarily due to their superior speed, was instrumental in preserving approximately 2,800 British lives during the tumultuous years of World War I. This crucial advantage allowed naval commanders the unprecedented ability to dictate the terms of engagement, carefully controlling distances and skillfully maneuvering to evade precarious or tactically disadvantageous situations. German Admiral Reinhard Scheer articulated this stark reality with unvarnished candor in a 1919 interview, declaring unequivocally, "We lost the naval war in 1906 when Dreadnought proved turbines worked. We spent 12 years trying to catch up. We never did." This revolutionary turbine technology did not merely secure victories in isolated skirmishes. It decisively won the protracted naval arms race long before the first shot of the global conflict was ever fired, shaping the geopolitical landscape. Charles Parsons, the visionary engineer behind this transformative innovation, harbored no personal ambition for accolades or public glory. A testament to his humble character and unwavering dedication to his craft, when King Edward VII personally visited the formidable Dreadnought in 1906 and magnanimously offered to bestow upon Parsons the honor of knighthood for his monumental contribution to British naval supremacy. Parsons politely declined. He had, in fact, already received the distinction of knighthood. In 1911, an acknowledgment for his groundbreaking work in the field of electrical generation, underscoring his diverse impact on industrial progress. His disinterest in accumulating further titles was palpable. His singular focus remained on the continuous refinement and enhancement of his groundbreaking turbine designs, believing that true reward lay in the pursuit of engineering perfection. Following the unprecedented and resounding success of Dreadnought, the demand for Parsons' revolutionary turbines surged dramatically. Naval powers across the globe, recognizing the undeniable strategic advantage, vied to incorporate his designs into their fleets. By 1914, a formidable contingent of 74 British warships proudly operated with his advanced propulsion systems, a number that swelled to an astonishing 286 by the close of 1918, illustrating the rapid and widespread adoption within the Royal Navy. This technological marvel quickly transcended national borders, propagating globally as nations like Japan, the United States, France, Italy, and even Germany, which had initially been outpaced, sought and acquired licenses for Parsons' ingenious designs. Parsons himself remained tirelessly committed to improving turbine efficiency throughout his life, a dedication that persisted until his passing on February 11, 1931, at the age of 76, aboard the steamship Duchess of Richmond during his return voyage from a West Indies cruise. His obituary, published in the esteemed Times newspaper, succinctly captured his monumental legacy, stating, "Sir Charles Parsons revolutionized marine propulsion more completely than any engineer since James Watt invented the steam engine." We hope you are enjoying this deep dive into naval history and engineering. Please stay with us and watch the end of the video. We will be truly grateful for your like and subscription. Additionally, we invite you to leave a comment below about where you are from and what you think about this fascinating video topic. Despite his profound impact, Parsons exhibited a remarkable reticence when it came to discussing his own achievements. In a rare 1927 interview, one of the precious few he ever granted, he offered a profound and introspective reflection on the immense responsibility he had shouldered. He acknowledged the considerable gamble taken by the Admiralty, and more specifically by Admiral Fisher, who had, in essence, wagered Britain's entire naval supremacy on the precision and efficacy of Parsons' calculations. He confessed to frequently contemplating the potential repercussions had he been mistaken, pondering the catastrophic scenario where the turbines might have catastrophically failed. Such a failure, he understood, could have irrevocably cost Britain its critical strategic advantage. potentially altering the very trajectory of global history. His quiet gratitude for having got the engineering right underscored the enormous weight of his contribution. The sheer scale of Parsons' enduring impact is perhaps most vividly illustrated by the staggering production numbers. Between 1906 and 1945, a remarkable total of over 12,000 turbine-powered warships were constructed across the world, a testament to the universal adoption of his principles. Parsons' original design tenets, which ingeniously harnessed the controlled flow of steam across precisely angled blades to generate smooth, continuous rotational power, have remained fundamentally unaltered in the design of modern naval turbines. This powerful and enduring legacy is strikingly evident in contemporary naval engineering. Every nuclear-powered aircraft carrier, for instance, operates with steam turbines that are direct conceptual descendants of Parsons' foundational principles. The USS Gerald R. Ford, commissioned in 2017, generates an astounding 280,000 shaft horsepower through turbines that are direct evolutionary offspring of the very units Parsons meticulously crafted for Dreadnought, a remarkable 111 years prior. Furthermore, the gas turbines that propel modern warships, such as the sleek destroyers and agile frigates of today's navies, incorporate the identical blade geometry and fluid dynamics that Parsons originally pioneered. Even the ubiquitous jet engines, which power modern aviation, are, at their core, advanced turbines, applying Parsons' fundamental innovations to the compression and expansion of air, rather than steam. Admiral Sir John Fisher, the audacious naval strategist who placed his unwavering faith and an immense gamble on Parsons' revolutionary technology, penned a prescient observation in his 1919 memoirs. History will record Dreadnought as the ship that revolutionized naval warfare. However, it is imperative that historians equally remember Charles Parsons, the brilliant civilian engineer who, with unwavering conviction, risked both his personal fortune and his professional reputation to unequivocally demonstrate that bold innovation consistently triumphs over entrenched tradition. Through his genius and perseverance, he bestowed upon Britain the critical speed advantage that not only secured its naval dominance, but decisively won the pre-war naval arms race. The profound moral embedded within Parsons' remarkable story transcends the confines of mere naval engineering, offering timeless lessons applicable to all fields of human endeavor. Every established expert of his era confidently asserted that turbines were inherently unsuitable for battleships. Every conventional analysis rigorously performed seemingly proved that such experimental propulsion systems would inevitably fail. Every traditionalist vehemently warned that embracing such unproven experimental technology would undoubtedly result in a tragic loss of British lives. Yet, Charles Parsons succeeded precisely because he dared to disregard what everyone knew to be impossible. He approached his challenge with meticulous rigor, conducting exhaustive tests, executing precise calculations, and possessing the rare courage to stake everything on the unshakable veracity of his own engineering acumen. The ostensibly suicidal turbine modification did not merely increase battleship speed by an impressive 17%. It simultaneously eliminated debilitating vibration, dramatically improved overall reliability, significantly reduced crew requirements, and, most critically, forged a decisive technological advantage that profoundly shaped the course of naval warfare for the ensuing century. Sometimes the most perilous decision is not the act of taking a calculated risk, but rather the stubborn refusal to innovate and adapt when the world is inexorably changing around you. Charles Parsons intrinsically understood this fundamental truth, and it is largely because one visionary engineer steadfastly refused to accept the impossible that Britain ultimately ruled the waves.